Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll embark on our keynote presentations. We have 3 speakers for the keynote presentation. And for the first, I would like to invite His Excellency, Professor Dr. Wimboh Santoso. Please, Professor Wimboh. So Professor Wimboh Santoso is the chair of the Indonesian Financial Services Authority. He got his master's degree from the University of Illinois and a doctorate degree from the University of Loughborough, the United Kingdom. So today, Professor Santoso will give a presentation on reshaping financing for small and medium enterprises through digital innovation. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to Professor Santoso to give your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Pak Panut, the President of University of Gajah Mada, then also Pak Eko, the Dean of Economic Faculty, Mr. Jung, then Professor Tandalilin, and Mr. Yoshino. Actually I've met him very often actually, and then actually all the participants. Congratulations, we have just followed the opening ceremony for the conference. That's actually the topic is very, very accurate and very important. So that's why I'm very pleased to deliver my, we call it the keynote presentation. Then actually I will give you some a few slides actually. Actually the SME on the micro business has been growing in Indonesia quite aggressively, and many years that we try to optimize the presence of the microfinance and SME business in Indonesia. Then we have here Ibu Rofikoh Rokim. Here is one of the commissioner of BRI. BRI is specialized on the micro banking. BRI call it Bank Rakyat. That is for the Rakyat is really a small business actually. Then, but now with the presence of technology, no, we in the transition actually. If we talk about the small business or the micro business, some of them actually is in the remote area. It's very difficult to be reached by the official or formal financing as like BRI. Sometimes people in the market, they stay there, but we call it the rentenir. Rentenir in English we call it the loan shark. Loan shark. Rentenir. Rentenir actually living in the market, traditional market. They charge very high interest, but almost no requirement. Almost no requirement. No record, no license, no everything. You borrow in the morning 300,000, you repay in the evening 400,000. It's okay. How many percent is in the loan? So actually it's very expensive. But they are happy. The borrower are happy and the lender, they are more happy. They are more happy. And then if we ask the borrower, why don't you go to the bank? And then the guy said, no. The bank quite far away. Then sometimes, I'm not sure that I can get into the office. Because I'm not quite credible to go to the bank. So, but with the loan shark, anybody can get it. And then know each other between borrower and lender. So they are happy. But now the presence of technology, the borrower, they can just access to internet. then they can apply a loan with no due diligence, then they can get it very easy. Yeah. But the lender and the borrower, they are not connected actually. They don't know each other. They're different with the loan shark. The loan shark know each other. Every day the lender and the borrower in there. But with the internet, yeah, the lender, they don't know who they are. Yeah, sometimes, the borrower, they can apply 20 times in one night. One night, 20 times. Then the intention actually is quite, some kind of the, not quite professional, even sometimes, they are unable to repay the loan. So that actually there is a case that the borrower themselves, they are not professional, and then they are actually even unethical. Yeah. How can you imagine that the borrower can apply using internet, 20 times one night, and then finally afterwards default. Yeah. And then the lender also quite smart. They use the debt collector. They are not going to, and the debt collector will be everywhere. We can even, the lender, the station of the lender and somewhere else in Jakarta, but they can hire debt collector everywhere in Indonesia. So since they know the identity, the address, actually they can get the borrower. So that is the distortion. But that is the simple illustration how the technology get into the financial sector. Then even those kind of the borrower that I mentioned is not bankable, unbankable actually, but they exist there. Then how to deal with this? One, actually the technology is very helpful. We can reach out everywhere in the location. Then, but how to make a due diligence to the borrower is the issue. So how to really to optimize the technology is actually quite acceptable. Yeah. Then I would like to show the number here. I think the practice that we are talking about is, we call it the P2P lending. So OJK actually quite proactively to deal with this kind of the development. So our policy actually, we are not going to restrict them, but we have to live with them, and then we minimize the distortion. So as a matter of fact, that the total fintech lending in Indonesia, we ask them to register, and then even we release a policy principle last year. Actually, we welcome the presence of the online lending, but they have to register to us. Why we ask them to register? Because we know who they are. We make due diligence whether they are really have enough capacity to deal with the business. Then about the technology, and then they have to promise to us will be professional, transparent, and accountable on the business, and also follow the ethical. And then we ask the member to set up association, the fintech member association. Then association will be responsible to supervise the member. So it is similar to SRO actually. Yeah. Then if something goes wrong, they have to report to us, and then we just revoke the license, and also to close the platform. So the total number that been registered to us is 127. But of course in the pipeline there's still a lot actually. Yeah. Then we close the unregistered, is 1,230 platform. Yeah. Then 2 of them are Sharia principal, and non-performing loan is very low, 1.75. Yeah. Then in total number of outstanding, you see the number. Yeah, that's quite quite growing actually. Then, judging this number, the small number of the distortion actually compared to the benefit that we receive is actually not comparable. It's actually in total, actually in the market or the customer, they got benefit a lot with the presence of technology. But of course, as the role of the OJK, so of course the OJK, the Supervisory Authority Indonesia, not only supervise bank, financial institution, capital market, but also responsible to protect the customer interest. That's so that we have one thing that we have to push, the role of the financial sector to be supportive to the growth, but the other way around, that we have to also to protect the customer. So actually, so many people that they believe been treated unbehaviously by the lender, they report to us. Yeah, so there are a lot of cases that we have to deal with this. Yeah. So, but on top of the benefit, of course, we mindful with the risk. Yeah. I think the benefit very clear. That's actually in line with our objective to enlarge the financial inclusion in Indonesia. With this technology, actually, a lot of people that unbankable before, that gradually moving forward to be in the financial sector. Yeah. And then, of course, the banking sector themselves now is not necessary to establish a branch. No, they just use agent in the rural area. So very quickly and very efficient. So that why now the fee-based income of the bank quite high. Yeah. Even the margin of loan is squeezing, but the profit is still very high because of the margin of the fee-based. Now let me talk about the benefit. Yeah. Of course, financial inclusion, promote easily with the SME. Yeah. Then also, but of course, we need some of the ecosystem that we have to develop. One is about the database, data mining of the borrower and the unbankable people. It's very important. So actually, private business been quite aggressively develop this data mining, to make sure that when one person try to apply the loan online, we can check how many loan that has been granted to this person. It's very important. Now we don't have this information. But if one person apply the loan to the bank can check it, because we have a ecosystem already on the database on that. But for the online, unbankable people, we don't have one. So that now we develop, in the process of development this. Then, of course, the information is very, and then ethical code is very important. Ethical code. The ethical code is not only the lender, but also the borrower. The lender, of course, they can, collect the debt with some of the ethical principle that an lender is not allowed to send the individual information to the people. Then, but even the borrower, they have also to have some ethical. They have to really, if they don't need the money, don't borrow it. Or if you don't have any really expected revenue, don't borrow it. Then better to try to find a job first before borrowing the money. So that's some of ethical that is very important. So the risk is very important that we have to say. The risk is, of course, the information. Because lack of the information, we are very difficult really to verify, to make a due diligence of the candidate of the borrower. So the information is very important to make sure that we can verify the candidate of the borrower. Then interest rate. Of course, don't expect the interest rate is very low. No. Because it is, we call it the unsecured lending. It's very expensive. Sometimes we just use that as the online lunsa, yeah, similar lunsa, yeah, but it is online, yeah. So similar, yeah. Yeah, but of course, if that is actually the challenge for the provider to make sure that the interest rate is not going to be very high. Yeah. Then data security is very important, you know, because information data will be secure by law. It is high confidential. It's not allowed to share with somebody else. But sometimes, you know, some of the provider violate this. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, the practice is they ask to the candidate of the borrower, just in case. The question is simple. Just in case that you unable to be reached by phone, can you nominate somewhere else or someone else can to be contacted? Sometimes it's very urgent. Sometimes, you know, little brothers, you know, big brothers, they list with name and phone number. Finally, if the lender unable to reach out the borrower, they call the brothers and call the sisters. Yeah. And then finally, the brothers and sisters complain. Yeah. So that's why that's the practice. So again, that's a lot of issue that we have about the cyber security is very important aspect. So of course, how the answer? The answer is really first, we are not going to restrict them. If we try to restrict them, of course, they can still in the services without information to us. Yeah. And then they can provide the services not even in Indonesia. They can provide the services everywhere. In Japan, Tokyo, Singapore, Malaysia, they can do it. So the restriction is not really acceptable. Yeah. Then the second, yeah, how really to mitigate the risk that we mentioned about, you know, the ecosystem. We have to develop the ecosystem. We have to handle the association. Yeah. Then of course, you know, the government program must be officially, you know, developed about this. You know, as like, because, you know, we have a lot of the SME scheme on the which using the traditional way. Yeah. But with this platform, actually we can use this platform for the official scheme. Yeah. Even it is for the poor, and then also for other, as like the Mekar that belong to the state-owned minister, and also Umi belong to the finance minister. Actually, we can use this platform for that kind of the official program that we develop by the government. Yeah. And then the issue of the taxation, how that this platform will be, you know, apply for the taxation, you know, because no, it's almost no tax. Yeah. Then how about the accounting principle? So a lot of things that we have to do. You know. So since the ecosystem is ready, I believe we can push the SME and the micro business very quickly, you know, using the online. So actually, in short, I would like to say that in general, the benefit is still, you know, higher rather than the distortion that we mentioned about. So, because in the media, normally, they just focus the distortion, but on the benefit has actually never been mentioned in the media. You know, million people actually has been, you know, the customer of the online lending. Yeah. Then it is also not only Indonesia, almost over the world. Then why Indonesia is get benefit the most? Because we have 260 million people, and then 60% of them, they are not in the financial system. But with this technology, I believe we can bring them to the system, you know, and then we develop a better financial inclusion for the future. Thank you very much. Hopefully this is useful. then I'm happy to entertain a few questions. If some questions are there, then
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Professor Santoso. It's really inspiring to listen to the development in fintech from the chair of the Financial Services Authority. So because of your availability, so maybe we'll take one or two questions from the floor, please. Yeah, one from you, sir, and second from you, Peter. Yeah. So please, sir.
Okay, Professor Santoso, thank you very much. Actually, I'm from Bangladesh, and probably you heard of Professor Yunus, his microfinance. Now, my question is, what you are proposing, this fintech and P2P lending, the investment, initial investment, do you think the bank, normally the banks, definitely they think of the return. Have you calculated what should be the investment and what will be the return or payback period? Otherwise, the banks will not be interested. The traditional money lending, as we know, because it's so convenient, so the borrowers are interested in that. Even the rate is very high. But the one you are talking about, the investment, have you made some calculation on that? And of course, the return.
Thank you, sir. Yep, sir.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. I think Indonesia has lots of islands. So as you mentioned, financial technology has a big financial inclusion to those people, but they have to make deposit into the bank or financial institutions. So you have to connect with the fintech and financial institutions in remote area. So do you have any strategy to connect to them to specific financial industries? And also you are mentioning about loan sharks. And OJK is regulating banks, insurance, and so on. Are you going to regulate loan sharks? Because there are so many loan sharks in all over Indonesia. So how do you regulate? Or do you let the market solve it? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the first question is on the relationship between the investment and also the borrower. Actually, before online lending present in the business, lending out of the financial system is there between a group of people, friends, family, and then community has been there. You know, because what? Because going to the bank is too complicated. Too complicated. Yeah. First, you have to have a accounting record. You have to have a tax ID. You have to have collateral. When you have to do a business, you have to have license. But with the informal, just informal, you know, if the lender know you and you know the lender, then basically deal happen. Informal, that actually happens similar to what happened in the loan shark. Yeah. But even the commercial business is there actually, even without the online. Yeah. But now with the online, they use the platform. They just announce the lender or the borrower that just expose himself about his profile. Looks, I'm a corner shop in the remote area. I need probably 10,000 US dollar. Yeah. Look, that is our business using internet. Then the lender is interested, just hit the borrower. Yeah. And then the internet online platform is just provide the platform. The risk is on the lender. Then normally the online platform, they charge the fee. Yeah. The question is how long the money flowing from the lender to the borrower. That's actually quite dangerous. But using our principle, just only 2 days been stored in the platform. Yeah. Then it is high risk, of course high risk. If the borrower disappear, then the risk is on the lender. Then how much is the interest rates? Of course it's far higher than the bank. Yeah. Then I say, should I invite the bank to go to the business? Actually, up to the bank. You know. Actually, normally banks, the current banks, current commercial bank, they use the SPV, not directly by bank. SPV, and then they're just using the SPV to support the startup business and also. Then I think the size is not quite big. So the bank themselves, not interested, of course, because it's too risky and then again our prudential principle. But we encourage the online is just for the unbankable people, not for the commercial lending, you know, with high volume and nominal of the money. No, yeah. For the high volume, for the nominal the money, we push for the banking system. But for the unbankable people in the rural area, then actually that is the online lending is more appropriate rather than official lending. Should we push the banking system to unbankable people, not really giving the lending, but more on the how to develop the people, yeah, using different platforms. So that's our policy. I hope very clear. Therefore, using no. Yeah. Of course, no. We are not going to regulate a loan shark. No, but for the online lending, we actually just give the principle about the transparency. We are not going to regulate using the prudential regulation, no. We are not going to regulate the capital adequacy of the online lending, no. We are not going to regulate the, we call it the legal lending limit, no. Yeah. We just regulate how to really to push the transparency, yeah, accountability or market conduct of the online business, because we're responsible to protect the customer. So if something goes wrong with the online platform, just go past. Yeah. You know, customer money is loose. Yeah. So actually that's our really how the OJK get into to regulate the platform online. It's basically to support, to push, to encourage the market conduct, not about the prudence. Then I believe that's answer your question. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Santoso. Yeah, give applause to Professor Wimboh Santoso. I think we are very privileged. Thank you very much to listen firsthand from you. One of the most influential people in Indonesia as the chair of Indonesian Financial Services Authority. Thank you, sir.